Podcasting 104, Equipment.
When people ask me, what equipment do you use? I reply, my freaking ears.
Chuck Fresh. What do you need to get started as far as equipment goes for podcasting? Honestly, you can create a podcast with nothing more than your smartphone or a digital recorder. But Apple, Android, Microsoft, and even BlackBerry platforms have rudimentary audio recorders built into their devices that are quite capable of recording the human voice very clearly. Remember, those microphones were designed to capture voices for telephone calls, which are a much lower quality than even a CD. It's difficult to get really good sound on a smartphone microphone. You've got room noise, air conditioners, motion noise from the moving of the phone. Sounds like this. And a tiny microphone with an equally tiny diaphragm that can't possibly capture the same natural dynamics that a real microphone can capture. However, that said, it absolutely can be done, and people have done it. Now, all those smartphone and tablet platforms offer some sort of app that can do some sort of audio file editing too, so you can remove the mistakes and the redos. And it's really rare for anyone to record a podcast of any length in one shot without any editing. I mean, there's some people who can. Plus, you'll want to incorporate a great sounding introduction, some bumpers, maybe some advertisements for your sponsors, and an outro to close your show for that truly professional sound. That typically exceeds the capability of most smartphones, although, once again, it can be done. Now, if you're still at the point of practicing your narration or your podcasting or just testing the waters, a smartphone, tablet, or a computer is a wonderful way to see if podcasting is for you with little to no additional investment. When you're ready to dive into the deep end and swim with the pros, well, then it's time to upgrade. So people say, Chuck, how do you get that professional sound? And I'd be like, man, when you got it, you know what I'm saying? No, that's not what I say. But you can absolutely tell the difference between an amateur podcast and a professional production. You can hear it. It's crisp, clear sound, low noise in the background. Listen. Pretty sweet, huh? There's actually an air conditioning running in this room, but I filtered it out. A short but powerful introduction with production elements. The zaps, the bangs, the booms, the deep sub, that kind of stuff. And you too can achieve these elements quite affordably. Now, let's talk about microphones. Microphones pick up sounds in the form of frequency vibrations caused by a change in air pressure when a sound occurs within a microphone's proximity. It sounds complicated, but all of these sounds are, it's really not. You don't have to worry about it. You don't have to make the microphone. You let other geniuses take care of that. That's what I did. I couldn't make a microphone. All of these sounds are converted into electrical voltage by a thin plastic sheet called a diaphragm, which is connected to a wire surrounded by a magnet known as a voice coil. The motion generated by the diaphragm interacting with the magnet somehow feeds an electronic transducer that converts the vibrations into a tiny electronic signal that contains the information that will reproduce the frequencies of the sounds it hears. Right? You with me so far? You'll have to listen to this again. I did. I have to listen to myself a couple of times. The resulting electronic signal travels through a microphone cable and then ultimately fed to a mixer or a preamplifier or your smartphone or computer or whatever for processing and amplification. That's basically it. Microphone types, most wired DJ and band microphones are known as dynamic mics. They're pretty rugged and hard to mess up, even with super high sound pressure levels and smoke and dust and fog and humidity and temperature extremes and drops and all kinds of other things that DJs subject their microphones to. All you have to do is just plug it into just about any mixer and you're ready to speak to your peeps. Condenser microphones are a little more complicated in terms of their electronics and a lot more expensive. They're also a lot more fragile. Their diaphragms are usually made of gold or a gold-plated metal and require a separate power source known as phantom power. Phantom power, which is a small 48-volt charge usually supplied from the mixer to the microphone via the cable. It's like a line, and without getting into it, there's a cable that delivers that to the microphone, gives the microphone a little, you know what I mean? Their response is much more sensitive and accurate than most dynamic mics, which is why condenser mics are used primarily in professional music studios. They're not a practical choice for DJs, though, because they're much more fragile and not suited to the dust, smoke, dampness, and all kinds of other stuff you'd put a microphone through. Now, the first thing you'll want to do is invest in a professional microphone. and you can totally go dynamic. It's what I'm using right now. The Electro Voice EV-RE320 is a terrific dynamic microphone. It's modeled after the EV-RE20, which is the same microphone used by on-air DJs and radio hosts all over the world. It doesn't require phantom power, yet it still records an incredible range of vocals and harmonics. Basically, if you're just starting out and you want a really good professional sound, this is what we recommend. The EV-RE320 dynamic microphone. I'll have all the links in the description for this stuff too. And it's also on our website at wdnpodcast.com. The EV-309 shock mount. And what that does is it keeps table noise and bumps out of your recording. So if you kind of hit the table, I'm going to hit the table a little bit. It's got a little bit, you can hear a little bit of that. But without that shock mount, you're going to hear all this. And you really don't want to hear that in your recording. And then there's the Electro Voice WSPL2 foam windscreen to avoid popping your peas. Because without it, it sounds like you're popping your peas, and it sounds really terrible, and no one wants to hear that pea popping, you know what I mean? So the foam windscreen helps stop that from coming in. There's a little bit of foam in the EV-RE320 already, but if you're really a pea popper, then you need a little bit of additional foam, especially when you're starting out and talking straight into the microphone. Then there's the Rode, it's R-O-D-E. I'm still not sure how do you pronounce that? She's not sure either. It's a Rode PSA-1 swivel mount studio microphone boom arm. And what this is that's that metal arm that hangs off the side or is drilled in. It should be drilled into the table, and it allows you to move your microphone in different positions. It also clears up a bunch of desk space, too, because now you don't have to have a microphone stand on your desk. Then you're going to need a cable, a way to get the signal from the microphone to your mixer or computer or recording device or whatever. So you're going to need a male to female. Male has a little prong sticking out for obvious reasons. Female has the indents. I don't know who made that up. It's kind of sexist. It's kind of sexual, actually. So you male to female XLR microphone cable, and you'll be able to pick that up anywhere you can get your microphone. It's cheap. They're $10-15. And then for headphones to hear yourself, I recommend the Status Audio CB1 closed-back studio monitor headphones. Really, it's a small company. I think some American guy created the company. I'm not sure what the story is, but he makes a terrific, affordable headset that just about blows away everything else I've ever used. So the Status Audio CB1. Again, I have links to all this stuff in the description below. Now, what we've recommended is a package that includes the microphone plus something called the shock mount, and a foam windscreen, which will keep the peas from popping and also the food and saliva off of your microphone. It's nasty, especially if you have guests coming in. You can change the $2 windscreen instead of having to smell Vito's garlic breath for the rest of your life. And then the swivel mount is wonderful. It either clips onto a table with a little vise bracket, or you can drill it in there and you can position it perfectly. So it's a real nice package. Remember, it's typically one microphone per person speaking. So if you've got a co-host, you're going to need to double your investment. Now you're going to need 2 microphones, 2 sets of headphones, 2 pop filters, and 2 cables and all that stuff. You know what I mean. And if you got a co-host and a separate guest, well, that's one more microphone setup. You know, a lot of people will go a little cheaper on the guests, but, you know, you want your guest to sound as good as you do, too. It's most important that the host sounds good, but you really should have your guest sounding pretty on point, too. Next, you need a way to get that microphone signal into your computer, smartphone, or tablet. So you're going to need a device to do that. If you're using a PC or a Mac, we like the Focusrite series of analog to digital converters. The one we use is the Focusrite Scarlett 18i8 USB audio interface device. So this allows 4 XLR microphone inputs, 2 for our hosts and then 2 for guests. If there's more people, then we're crap out of luck and we'll double up at that point. We just don't have the budget for that kind of stuff. But you can get bigger ones, too. There's one that has like 8, I think, or even 16. And we'll include the link to the Focusrite stuff, too. Really good stuff, really great reviews, very, very clean sound. As a matter of fact, it's what I'm talking on right now, the Focusrite. I think it's 18i8. And technically, I think it has 8 or 18 inputs, but 4 dedicated XLR / quarter-inch inputs. You put your microphones right in there and record on a PC or some other device, or just mix out right to a stereo device. Now, if you're using a smartphone or a tablet, you'll need a converter to get that XLR to a stereo mini jack or some kind of separate adapter to connect to a lightning port on the newer iPhones and iPads, and that's where things get a little confusing. Now, for the iPhone 7 and newer iPads, you might need the Rode iXLR interface if you want to use a professional dynamic microphone. It's a little pricey, but it does the job in one simple cable with a built-in adapter. Unfortunately, in this case, you're limited to one single microphone. So if you've got multiple guests or a co-host, you're going to have to bang around the microphone here, hold it to him, and you got all kinds of noise going on there. But it can be done, you know. A lot of people do it, especially in reporter situations where they hand the mic, here's Bob. And you might do that. And to get started, that might be all you need. It's actually a pretty effective way to get your podcast started. And then once you build your studio, you can start expanding. And sticking with the iPad, iPhone infrastructure, which we're talking about now, there's another alternative. It's called Shure's MV88 microphone that plugs directly into your Lightning port. And I'm going to record on the rest of this paragraph in that right now, so stand by. So this is the Shure MV88 microphone. It's plugged directly into my Lightning port in my iPhone 5C. Yes, I still have a 5C. And I've used this microphone to record several podcasts at remote locations when we interview bands that do acoustic sets. And it sounds phenomenal. It sounds really good. It is kind of an omnidirectional, and it's got this app you can download from Shure. It's Shure MV88. And you can customize the performance. You could tell it, do I want full stereo, or do I just want it to be kind of focused in one area? And then it'll pick up everything in front of it with perfect stereo separation if you want to. So it's a good solution for recording multiple people without multiple microphones. You're not going to get the quality you're going to get on a dynamic microphone or a condenser microphone, but in a pinch, it's pretty darn good. You can find more of that, the Shure MV88, and we'll include a link for that below. Now, on the Android end, you'll need to do a slightly different dance. You'll need something to convert your Dynamic Mic's XLR to a mini jack port, which goes into your headphone jack so that your device can use your external microphone. Then you'll need to split that signal to the microphone part of it. So if you've ever looked closely at the headphone plug, you notice it has 3 black stripes. So it's a special type of adapter, and you need to separate that signal so that your Android device knows to use the microphone only. Fortunately, there's a bunch of stuff you can buy online. You need an XLR to TRS 3.5 millimeter or 1/8 inch cable, which automatically connects that. And you can have a long run of 25 feet or so you can walk far enough to get a large group into a video if you're shooting video too. Then there's the Sennheiser, I think it's Sennheiser, PCV05 combo adapter, and that's the unit that splits your Android's mini jack into headphone and microphone signals. It's got a pink thing and a little green on it. You plug your microphone into the pink thing, and boom, your Android will automatically know to split that and use that external microphone. So it works pretty well. There's also several wireless options when you're in the field also. Our favorite wireless mic that works on the iPhone and Android platforms with the adapter is the Rode Link FM wireless filmmaker system. It comes with a really good pro-grade lavalier microphone. And the range is fantastic. We've gone up to 100 feet, and the signal's always crisp. But remember, again, only one microphone at a time with a portable device unless you have some sort of mixer. So if you're on the road, you can do it with one microphone. Just know that you're doing that. And don't be like these people who forget. They keep the microphone in front of their face. They ask their guest a question. So, Bob, tell me about that terrible car accident in front of your store. And he keeps the microphone in front of him, and Bob's talking. Can't hear him. You can't hear me back here because the mic's not here. So remember to hand the mic over when the other person's talking, and don't talk at the same time. It's obvious stuff. And if you do find yourself out and about requiring several microphones for your show or a public appearance, there's no worries because you can do that too. We've patched together a 2-microphone setup with an iPad streaming live on Facebook with a XLR to 1/4-inch mono microphone cable. And then we ran it through this Nady MM41, which is a 4-channel battery-operated, that's right, battery, unbalanced mini mixer. So we had to convert our XLR to a 1/4-inch jack and then ran that through and converted the 1/4-inch to a mini jack and separated the set. You know, it's a cluster, but it worked. It worked pretty well. And it sounded pretty amazing. You can listen to our actual broadcast with that, and you can hear what it sounded like. It actually was pretty impressive considering how jacked up that setup was. So now, if you don't want to use a PC or a smart device, there's another way that's pretty affordable to record your podcast. You can use a portable digital recorder. There's something called a Zoom H4n Pro digital multitrack, which records the SD cards. So you record your podcast, and then you transfer that to your PC or Mac for your final mixing and editing, and then upload it to your podcast vendor. So I've got a link for that solution, too. It takes a lot of the legwork out. And it's nice because there's no cables, completely battery operated. So that is an option, too. So let's dig into a little bit more into hardware here for what you're going to need for a podcast. It's going to get complicated, so you might need to listen to this a few times to get it straight. But we also have the transcript at wdnpodcast.com, along with all the links, too, if you want to follow along that way. WD, as in David, N, as in network, podcast.com. Now, under hardware, any newer PC or Mac made in the past 5 to 7 years should easily be able to handle audio editing without glitches. Just note, the faster your CPU, the better, especially when previewing and rendering audio effects, because that's what really strains the processor. And 4 to 8 gigabytes of RAM is usually plenty for audio. People will try, you need 16, 32, a million gigabytes, or you really don't. Machine I'm working on right now is 4 gigabytes of RAM, and it's just fine. And you shouldn't need an expensive video or sound card unless you're doing some fancy video editing, too. Now, audio files are typically compressed, so a huge hard drive isn't really necessary if you're audio only. If you're doing video podcast or video recording of your podcast, now that's going to require a lot of storage. And, of course, you need to back up as often as possible. That goes without saying. So don't make the mistake of losing your work and having to start all over again. Believe me, I've done it more than once. A lot of people quit podcasting because they become frustrated with their hardware. Did all this work, recorded this beautiful podcast over a couple hours, hard drive dies, it's all over, got to do it all over again. Like, screw that. It happens. So don't be that person. We like to use Dropbox to store our files. You can look at Dropbox.com, about $99 a year, and it duplicates everything on your computer to the cloud. So you got a file on your computer, you got a file on the cloud. So obviously you don't want to put personal stuff out there, but for your podcast, it should work perfectly. Or you could run with the big dogs and get yourself a fancy digital audio workstation like some of the radio stations use. One of my favorites is the Tascam DP24 SD 24-track digital Porta-Studio. It's not really 24 tracks, but whatever. We're considering switching our new studio to this unit just because it looks cooler than hiding an AD converter in our PC under the table. Now, this bad boy can record up to 8 microphone channels simultaneously, all on individual tracks, and all with assignable effects, too. It's really nice. If you're recording bands in an unplugged studio type situation, this is really all you need in an affordable package. There's an LCD screen which makes on-console editing a snap. You do your whole edit right on this thing, and then you save your recordings to the industry standard SD card, right? So almost any laptop will take that when you're ready to upload your final edited podcast. And the best part, that whole thing is under $500 at most places. Crazy, right? You can check out that monster in the links below. Or if you need to be a little bit more portable, because Tascam DP24 is a pretty big unit. But if you need to record groups of people at a trade show or at a cafe or a bookstore where you're not allowed to run extension cords or there's no AC power available, it happens more often than you think, check out the Zoom R16 multi-track SD recorder. This thing will actually run for 2-3 hours on 2 AA batteries. It still has built-in effects when you want to edit when you get back, and I think it has a drum machine in it, too. Not sure what you need that for a podcast, but hey, that could be fun. The Zoom R16 has 8 XLR/1/4-inch mic adapters, too, and this bad boy is also under $500. Pretty affordable. Cheaper than buying a computer, right? And the new kid on the block, well, it's newer, it's not brand new, is the Boss BR800 portable digital recorder. This guy is an AD converter also, that you can connect this to your PC or Mac and use this to bring multi-tracks into your computer too. So it's kind of a twofer solution. The BR800 is also battery operated or AC operated, and it has touch sensor switches and an SD card recording media, so that's cool. You can record up to 4 tracks simultaneously, and it's only got 4 XLR inputs in there. It also has a drum machine. And the BR800's onboard effects processor includes various vocal effects, harmony, and acoustic guitar modeling, if you need that sort of cray. It's also got something called an easy recording feature, which supposedly guides you through the recording process. Hey, no idea what that means. I've never seen it, but if you need it, it's there. Also, what's really cool is it has a stereo microphone built into the BR800 for instant mic-free recording. It's kind of cool. I mean, you never know. A microphone get lost, stolen, broken, dropped. You forgot it, and you've got a microphone built into this thing in the oh my God situation. So you can check that out in the comments below too. Now let's take a look at software, moving away from the hardware and going software. If you're doing some editing to make your show sound professional, which you are going to do, right? You're going to need some software. Although there are hundreds of solutions and everyone seems to be a freaking expert at this, it's really not as difficult as they make it out to be. With a little guidance and practice, you too can be an award-winning radio producer. Almost everything is drag and drop. On the Mac platform, you'll be pleased to know that you probably have GarageBand already installed with OS X. If it's not there, you can download it from the Apple Store for free. And for most podcasters, it's really all you need. Now, GarageBand can be a little tricky at first, but don't give up. You'll get it. It's pretty intuitive once you jump on and figure it out. Now, on the PC platform, there's a whole bunch of options. Their most popular free program is called Audacity. Yes, I had the audacity to say that. It's a free open-source cross-platform audio software for multi-track recording and editing. And there's a learning curve with this and all of them too, but overall, it's pretty simple once you get the hang of it. We've used several other paid PC programs over the years, including Adobe Audition, Wavelab, Pro Tools. But for some reason, we keep migrating back to SoundForge in Vegas, which used to be Sony products. It's called a SoundForge, I think, 11 and Vegas Pro 13 or 14. I'm not sure what version we're up to. These programs ship with a wide array of filters and plugins, and their timelines are very clean and easy to manipulate. True drag and drop, slide, move, touch. It's really stupid easy to learn. Very, very shallow learning curve. Now, there's trial versions available for all of these programs and a whole bunch of very helpful YouTube videos for all of them, too, that'll walk you through the basics all the way through advanced techniques. So we've got links for that information, too. Now, talk about plugins. All of these programs utilize something called audio plugins, including iZotope's Nectar 2, which has a ton of amazing sounding presets that can really clean up your audio files and make them sound incredible. Just with presets, they're built in. You don't have to tweak the EQ or compression. It's already done for you. There's a trial use for that too, and I highly recommend that. Smartphone and tablets on those sizes, they're surprisingly still limited considering the technology that's in these things. Ferrite Pro is one of the best reviewed iOS multi-track editors for the iPad. It combines the ease of use of a voice memo audio recorder with a pretty versatile multi-track editing studio. And they've also got effects and automation available when you need them. And you can find that in the iTunes store, Ferrite Pro. Honestly, you can also edit your podcast on an iPhone or an Android phone. And some people do some amazing stuff with those. But in my opinion, the screens are just too small to do any professional editing. I mean, give it a go if that's where your heart is, but I can't really recommend those options because I'm not as brave as you are. You can record on those devices, but as far as the editing goes, yeah, it's a little sketchy, you know what I mean? But if you do decide to do that, and send me a copy and know in your heart that I'm proud of you, son. All right. Now that your equipment and content are ready to roll, you've got all that under your belt, let's find out how to get your award-winning podcast to the masses in Podcasting 105 distribution. My name is Chuck Fresh with the WDN Radio Network. Thank you for listening, and we'll catch you for the next podcast.